issue is unable to make it this evening. White
Here.
and Williams. All right, pledge of allegiance. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of the November 4th, 2021 school board meeting? Second. Been moved by Katrina, seconded by Rachel, to accept the minutes of the November 4th, 2021 school board meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Abstain, opposed? Abstain? 4. Thank you. Citizens input? All right. Old business. Update on the November 12th in-service.
Thank you, Danielle. So this in-service was one of the remaining 3 in-service days. We have one in January and one in March. The elementary schools worked at the Benton site as a district, not as individual school buildings, and they established the professional development and use of the NWEA assessment, including formal instruction, differentiation, in response to that. And the point of having these screeners throughout the school year is in real time for instructional adjustments to be made based on what the student scores are indicating. So again, grades 3 through 6 received the professional development on that. And they also had some time reviewing our math curriculum, and grade level reps from the committee had time to work with their grade level colleagues to look at the alignment of the tutoring system that we have, the Vision Math programs, Pearson product, and how it aligns with the new Maine learning results in regard to math grade level expectations and learning objectives. Also, the pre-K staff, pre-K2 staff worked on a literacy survey that was sent to us as a request from the DOE to assess where student progress is there. And the junior high school also worked on NWEA training, and some individual content area time was allowed for staff to work on planning, and also curriculum work for those grade level math personnel, and some staff, including counselors, attended the sexual abuse prevention education training offered at the high school. And Mr. Bowers is going to share a little bit about what further is important with that.
We started it. We always have a little breakfast buffet, so we started with that and rolled into a staff meeting, and then split the faculty pretty much in 2 groups for the training. We had Kathleen Perry come from the state prevention educator from state sexual assault crisis and support center. It's a new mandated training, so we met that with high school staff. She gave our presentation for the 2 separate groups that we had come in. We had some junior high teachers were able to join us in the first hour. And then we had math and ELA and did the new informing instruction training that Pat had set up, and the other departments just had within the departments that had good work that they had prioritized in curriculum, and as well as gave time for individual work in the departments. Some of the work on aligning assessments and we've got budgets coming up, so they we'll work on that. All in all, it was successful. We had some input from the staff on what's been going well and what we need to work on. You know, when I sent a survey out to the students and got over 100 back from them on what's working, what we need to improve, and it's just some good poignant feedback for the staff that's positive, and some things where they need some help. So it'll be good. I'll share that with them. I got on the one this morning and told the kids to get in by tomorrow, so I'll get that out to everybody so they can see it.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Moving on to new business, board bylaws. There was a draft one sent to you guys in our mailing. This is, so what was edited is highlighted. So basically what it was adding the policy BEB for the remote participation piece, and then it was taking out the language dealing with the professional discussion committee, since that language change was done in the teacher's contract. So that's really all. Those were just those two updates. So is there a motion to approve the updated board bylaws as edited and presented? It's been moved by Joel and seconded by Katrina to approve the updated board bylaws as edited and presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 10, 0, 0. All right, moving on to the Osha and State of Maine plan update.
Well, I shared with you a copy of what Governor Winston put forth regarding school district developing policy relating to mandating or we didn't have a choice. It already is a choice. Vaccination is a choice. And what is continuing to happen. So in this communication that I sent, we're waiting on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, the court system, put a hold on this. So backing up, so this is a Fed regulation, and 26 states have a participating plan. The state of Maine is one of them. And this should be in force and effect by January 4th, is the deadline. So this has also been kicked to the Circuit Court of Appeals. So right now, it's on hold. That's the short of it. And I don't have any new information for you regarding that. But it may be that the board will not have to address this, but we should consider what our plan would be, and I can get some sample policies from Governor Woodson. But at the very least, start collecting information from our employees, and we have every right to ask that if they are vaccinated. And as you saw from the survey that we pushed out to meet the requirement of DHHS, we did that survey and everyone posted on the site, the DHHS CDC site. Initially, we had very low response, and I don't think that necessarily reflects the vaccination rate of our staff, but we had a challenging time getting a full response from employees. We've since pushed it out twice again, and you see what's posted up there now. But to comply with this rule coming down, if the courts uphold it, we will be first cleaning who's vaccinated or not. And I just want you to be aware that we have employees who are not disclosing either status. So there'll be a point at which we'll assess that. What we know internally, as far as vaccinated and provide some proof of that. But that is only as it is right up into close contact, so we don't have a full view of that, nor have I asked. I guess or no response, but as an employer, you have every right to ask that question. And so the rule here affects employers with over 100 employees. And we certainly have that, just for people on site, between teachers and techs, in our secretaries and nutrition workers, our employees association. This also includes contracted services. I was talking about some of our programming earlier in finance. We work with some agencies. One of them are Connections for Kids, say, to sustain programming. So we certainly meet that threshold of 100 more employees. So I will update you as I know, but right now there's a rule in place. Any questions?
Is the reason why this is happening because there's pushback from employees about wanting to give that information? Because the only argument I ever hear from people is it's a HIPAA violation, which it's not. It is absolutely not any sort of violation for an employer to ask them to offer up information. We're not healthcare workers, and we're not giving out medical information.
That's correct. We are able to ask the question of vaccination status. And there's a point at which, if this rule goes into effect, that they will be mandated to inform us of that.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to the winter sports protocols.
Good evening. We have been consulting with other area athletic directors and things, so we are trying to be very similar to what we are doing compared to the schools. As far as for player safety, we will have all fans in attendance, game management staff, coaches, non-playing athletes will be masked at all times. Keep the mask on. We are going to have those 10 athletes and 2 game officials that are on the court in strenuous activity, the option of not wearing a mask. We found that there's, when a mask is wet, it becomes less effective. It can catch microorganisms, it can also lead to some things. Vision is affected for kids in basketball, ball bouncing, and because of those safety things, we felt it's safer for those kids as much as possible to play without masks. In practices and things, they will have masks on when they're being coached and given instruction, but during conditioning skills and skill work, which are up and down the court, they will have the option to take the mask off. And we will also be respectful if another school says, no, we want you to play in a mask. We will be willing to do that for our sports is all about kids. We don't want to take away from the other schools either, but for the safety of our kids as much as possible, we would prefer not to have masks on. Again, each athlete is going to be responsible for their own water. Ask people to drink out of. No sharing of towels or those things on the bench. We are strongly encouraging our players to be part of the full testing system. This fall, we had a football player that came down with COVID. From close contacts, before pool testing, 20 players were affected and they were on quarantine for 10 days. After we ended the pool testing, another student came down with it, and we only had 2 people that had to sit out this time, and none of those kids came down with COVID. So it is an effective tool to keep our kids safe. Last year, with the way things were, once the freshman team played, they had to immediately leave the gym. This year we have it set up so if they want to stay and watch the varsity game, we will have a section reserved for them behind the varsity bench, so that they can sit and watch the games. One of the key things that we have all talked about is fan attendance. And sports last year without the fans was not the same for the kids. They get excitement from hearing fans cheer, and last year it just wasn't there. A couple of kids at the bench cheering for them, but it's not the same as having the people in the stands watching them. So we have come up with a system that will make it fair for everybody. Each home athlete will be given 4 tickets they can give out, or vouchers that they can sell the tickets. That way they can have some fans. We're also offering 2 tickets for each away team so that they can have the ability to come and watch their kids play. As a parent who had 2 children involved in athletics, one of the highlights to me was being able to go and watch them play. And I certainly don't want to try to take that away from opposing kids, opposing schools, and opposing kids. And even though they don't think it's a big deal, deep down they really want the parents there to watch them play. It's a big deal for them to have the parents there. And by doing this, we can safely have them there watching. We're not going to have a small section roped off for students to attend. Last year, rowdies weren't in attendance and they missed something. We're going to hand these tickets out for either strong academic things that kids are doing or copying in the hallway, and they'll have the ability to go see a game, try to rotate around so that anybody that wants to can at least see some of the games this year. As far as the junior high goes, because the gym is bigger and less attended, we don't feel there's going to be any problem with having fans from both schools come here and watch their kids play in the junior high. Some of the other schools in the junior high league, I don't allow home or away parents. I think one of the gyms only has 2 rows of bleachers, and one of those is set aside for the kids, so there just is not room for that. Because we have the space, we're still going to open it up for other kids to attend, other people to attend. For the high school, we have limited concessions. The fundraiser for our classes is to sell refreshments at the softball class does girls' varsity games, junior class does boys' varsity games. They're going to set up a limited concession stand in the cafeteria. People will have to eat and drink everything that they consume in the cafeteria before they come to the game, so nobody will be allowed in the gym as far as adult without wearing a mask. And either they'll eat fast or miss some of the game. We'll also review this, and if the class finds that it's really not worth the time that they're putting into selling concessions, we'll close those down and just have the games. And we will also be live streaming games as we have in the past for those people that come out. So we'll still get it out to the public and making them aware of what's going on.
Go ahead.
Will the cafe be playing?
At this time, no, because the MPA is not giving us guidance on how they can go about safely in that situation. I have talked to Mr. Fields though, and he is going to create a tape of that band that we can play before the game, so at least they'll have something. And if they come to the point that they do allow them in, then yes, they'll be there.
So aside from the band, like what about cheerleaders, for example, or other extracurriculars?
Cheerleaders are going to give the option. Some schools have moved away from having cheerleaders at games. They're just competition cheerleaders. They train for the competitions. I still think it's nice to have them at the games. They'll probably do the games, not as many as they have in the past. We'll pick out a couple of the bigger ones, and they'll be in attendance for that. We'll also give them time to train for the competitions.
And as far as, you mentioned doing like a reporting type situation, would they be able to do that? So they have the same experience, they're doing it on location, doing that reporting, and then maybe exiting afterwards, like how did that play out for band?
For the band, they thought it was taking sauce in the music room, then we played over the loud speaker system. And Mr. Fields thought that was at least a start to try to get them involved, and when they give us the go-ahead, then we will bring them in. Another time comes to the high school band is small. Yeah, so we know that's the reason.
You mentioned it here, like the away team and their guests actually come. Is there a possibility of a situation where, because we would know ahead of time, maybe buying tickets. So let's say they didn't really get a lot of tickets for away guests, would that open up the opportunities for more of our students to come by?
The issue with that, I'm sorry.
We've mentioned to these fellows, we're trying to do social distancing, and if we have two teams, if 3 teams play, most people that would be moving behind the bench is 17. Probably some of those wouldn't stay, but it's one of those situations where we can't be sure, and we can't call over and say how many new kids are going with parents after their games and that, so we'll probably try to keep it to 30. And usually the student section for boys' games was, I'd say, average 30 to 40, and for the girls' games was less than that, so I don't see that as being a problem to kids that want to actually see the game.
And Julie, you make a great point, because as procedures are established locally, that doesn't guarantee there's reciprocity at the visitors contest. So, and again, I talked about this earlier. Who would have thought that? So the Kennebec Valley Superintendents Association meets every Thursday, and the topic of discussion has been, the winter sports protocol and trying to wade through that and keep kids safe, but allow for the contests to be normalized. And generally, though there's no agreement among this is, being presented to boards around, Skowhegan's the boards addressing this tonight. When students are on the court competing, the consensus, generally with the exception of Coney and Winslow, Martinville, is that the masks are off while kids are competing in anaerobic activity, like high intensity, and that would extend to practice and drills and the like, but everyone else is masking. I know that some schools are not going to allow visitors to allow more capacity for the home team, the parents and extended families, and the students at that high school. We're, offering just to in fairness for the visiting team competing, but we also agree that you follow the house rules when you visit somewhere. So we may find that we're in a contest where the house rule is wear a mask when you're actually playing the game. So anyway, for the mask.
We have to change our house rules and raise the age. I've also heard that there are that are non-club visitors. Do you know if they are all on social media or some like
Streaming.
Yeah.
Most schools are.
I'm kind of surprised that all those three that I know.
The original of the schools is not that they had months of meetings, but all they need to do a very good job with their system.
I just hadn't heard about the pool one, though. I haven't heard any word.
One of them is not, or high school wise, not as junior high is they do, they have a YouTube channel. There's no play-by-play. No, it's just, you watch it.
And I think it's important to put out as much information because we don't want parents and fans frustrated when they show up, particularly at another site, and they're not, informed of or aware of the rules. And it's upsetting when you go to see your child compete and you can't get in the door. So
There will be a lot of communication between all the stuff, the coaches. A couple of days before games, so they can tell parents what to expect, what they can do, what they can't do, what activities they can be going, and all of that stuff.
What about for indoor track? Is that all up to the schools or the colleges right now?
Indoor track is being held hostage by the college.
Okay.
They have the places that we are in. We have no control over what, I mean, Hopi has said no, not letting anybody in. So the only schools that are offering us to use indoor tracks are the University of Maine, the University of Southern Maine, and Bowdoin College.
Okay.
We have a Hopi schools, one at USM and one at
So that relates to mandated vaccination in those higher ed institutions. So, another piece of this is that there are some schools that are requiring athletes to be vaccinated or participating in flu testing, highly recommending it. And I know that the flu testing is greatly diminishing just in the general population of the school day, the number of students quarantining. It's helpful as the cases continue to come to me. The number of needing to quarantine is greatly diminished, so that's helpful.
What indoor track does is college schools, they either need to be vaccinated or COVID tested 24 hours in advance of stepping forward on their campus. And coaches have told kids in their preseason meetings that these are the expectations and it's what they need to do. Which is still 100% of what they had last year.
Yes, I agree. And question? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, resignations. Mark Hu, LHS science teacher, June 2022 retirement. Renee Oakes, Fairfield Primary School secretary, November 2021 resignation. There is an addendum under appointments. Is there a motion to approve Taylor Moss as Benton Elementary classroom teacher for 2021-2022 school year?
So moved.
Terry. There was a motion by Terry, seconded by Sarah, to approve Taylor Moss as Benton Elementary classroom teacher for 2021-2022 school year. Roberta, do you have any information?
I do. Taylor is currently completing her student teaching. She received her emergency credential certification from the Department of Education. She's completing her BA in education from Western Governors. And as I said, she's completing her student teaching. It's assistant grade position open, vacated by a resignation. So I think that will be a smooth transition for the school, for the students.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 10, 0, 0. Is there a motion to approve Justin Bowery as Benton Elementary special education teacher for 2021-2022 school year?
Second.
It's been moved by Rachel, seconded by Terry, to approve Justin as Benton Elementary special education school teacher for 2021-2022 school year. Is there any information?
Yes. So Justin has a BA in early childhood development and a master's in education from Ashford University. He too has received his emergency certification credential for special education. He will be serving in the life skills district consolidated position at Benton Elementary that is open and has been unfilled until this point. He has experience as an educational technician 3 in the Winthrop school system, in the elementary school system, and 4 years at Southern Kennebec Child Development Corporation.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 10, 0, 0.
did not. Who made the motion?
What?
Who made the motions? 1, 2, 3.
Rachel?
Okay.
Terry.
Thank you.
All right.
Is there something that I can say, or do I need to wait till another time? I obviously showed up a little late. I'm sorry for that. Is there something that I can say, or do I need to wait for another time?
You need to, I'm sorry, we need to wait just procedurally for another.
I don't know. I just,
I
and that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So when do I get to like say what I need to say? I was supposed to come for the last meeting that happened before this, but my daughter made me feel like real bad, so I didn't come. But I just need to get some stuff off my chest and like say what I need to say. So
You can talk to us after.
no, I don't want to talk to you after. I want to talk to like everybody.
Right, so you can either talk to us after or at the next board meeting during the citizen input time. That's
Citizen input. So
Yeah.
when is that meeting and what time?
December 2nd.
December 2nd at 7? Okay. I can wait till then, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, moving on, committee reports. I know you guys met. Who's the chair? Oh, she's not here, that's right. Can someone give us a report? Okay, thank you, Tim.
The chair is not here, and these are just some things that we covered from my notes. The first question that was asked that came up was, when is the cutoff on some of the COVID's money? And then it turned into a discussion on what positions were being paid out of that. And the answer was 7. And the first answer was September of 22. So we may need to consider what of those positions we want to retain and budget for next year.
It's September
Further-
24th and 24th.
2024. Oh my God, see, that's why thank you. But anyway, we wanted to look at what other positions we can start phasing in. And the bird's going to come with some recommendations on that. If you recall earlier, the budget committee, when we received the state subsidy of $600K, we basically did nothing with that, and Roberta mentioned that may be something we want to look at in the budget process for next year. Scott talked about some new buses that he needs, and the mileage on buses that were basically a lot. We have a lot that are over what they recommend. Scott also talked about the gym roof, the engineering report. We still haven't got that yet, but both the ventilation system and the generator systems are basically on track to be installed once we get an answer on that roof. And then we had a discussion about fuel prices. The one that's concerning is diesel contract runs out during this next year, and we need to renegotiate that, and Scott was going to look into that. And the only other things we really talked about that were significant, the principles of the budget process with the staff will start on December, and January meeting is when we'll get the proposed budget for next year.
Thank you. Moving on, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Danielle. You had received my communication regarding the lockdown that occurred on Tuesday at the high school due to a user error in using the under duress button, panic button. We've corrected that, but just for your awareness, they are distributed. They are usually with personnel and key places in buildings, and that was accidentally deployed. However, it was a good test for our vigilance software system. The administrators were actually meeting in this building in the multipurpose room, and over the public address, we heard the automated alert sound and the message, which is somewhat new. We have in the past had personnel tap into the public address and announce lockdown. So it quickly did that part, triggered the doors, but it also pushed out, we have a directory in the system that pushes out instantaneous communication to local law enforcement agencies and fire and other first responders, and that worked. Within 40 minutes or so, the complex was clear, but it was a swift response. Credit to our teachers and our students who knew just what to do. It was silent. People were quiet and compliant and taking it very seriously, which is important. Credit to our SRO, our technology staff, and the Fairfield Police Department that showed up to assist, because part of our protocol is it's door-to-door where law enforcement identifies who they are, announces themselves, and lets them in to rooms with keys. So there are a lot of classrooms and other spaces in this whole complex. And anyway, that worked very well. At some point in January, the board will probably hear from our SRO about the procedures and again adopt our emergency management plan. I just listened in to Drummond Wood's presentation today regarding policy updates, and there's just a name change, and it's a comprehensive health and safety emergency plan, so we'll make that subtle correction. And certainly we have our pandemic plan in place that is part of that. I also wanted to mention that I'm working with the department, Scott Brown and his team in school construction, and CHA for developing our timeline and our pathway to referendum. Our referendum is going to be November 8th, 2022, and our work ahead includes continuing with the development of our educational specifications, but our progress on site. I mentioned at the last meeting we have some geotechnical surveying going on that site. I have spoken with a few members of the public who have noticed the drilling and the work that's going on in there, but actually these are abutting property owners who are supportive of the project and are pleased to know that the children in this district are going to have a new school. So just a little glimmer of for us, being purposeful and open about what's occurring, not getting ahead of the step. So in regard to that site, we have owners willing to sell. We're looking at the viability of the site, where the state is. Is it buildable? And so far, yes, it is. It looks good. The appraisals are complete as part of the Department of Education's process. Hired 2 appraisals. And I'd secured those, and they've come in, and the state will subsidize the exact average of the 2, and the owner is willing to accept that. I have contacted Bill Stockmeyer of Drummond Woodsum as part of this process to generate and secure an option to purchase the property. It is non-committal. It obligates the buyer not to sell it the seller not to sell it to anyone else. As we work toward our straw vote for site, and there'll be another straw vote for the public to look at the pre-concept design. But pre-concept design and site application are filed with the Department of Education, and this will all occur before we get to that referendum point. So I'm working with Scott Brown and CHA on the timeline and backing up from that November 8th date. But there's a lot of good and important work. It'll be important in our messaging to this community, that people fully understand and can appreciate what we're potentially going to have there for students. So that's where we're at right now. Our next meeting is just our building committee meeting is December 13th. It's here in this gym at 4 o'clock. And that concludes my report. Unless there are questions?
Yeah. Thank you, Roberta. Moving on, under other business on the agenda, there was an executive session, but there are no updates for negotiations this evening, so we are going to forego that. Before we move to adjourn, all the board members received in your mailing the superintendent evaluation form or tool that we're using. You can either mail it back to me, let me know if you want me to come pick it up, whatever, I'll do whatever to get it, but I'd like it back by November 26th so that we have it before the December 8th, or before the December 2nd board meeting, when we will be having the evaluation process. So, and if you want a digital copy, just let me know and I'll send you a PDF of the form. So, moving forward, is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
I wanted to discuss, we talked about a lot of things today, and one of the things we heard, for example, was pool testing helped during football season. We saw that help. I still see it's lacking, and I'd love to see about getting on the agenda next month the possibility of creating a subcommittee or an ad hoc committee for really just an outreach program for pool testing to really help those numbers and get everyone on board, as well as using that to help with more of an educational piece. We have some great stuff on the website, but I feel like we as a committee can do more.
You want to form an ad hoc committee?
I'd like to look into forming an ad hoc committee for pool testing outreach, yes.
You would free to do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
So I would suggest that anyone who wants to participate in that, contact Danielle.
Sure. Or you can come see me after the meeting and we can talk about when we want to set it up or whatever. All right. So, going forward, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
It's been moved by Beth, seconded by Roy to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?